They're not writing together this one? That's cute.
So, I wanted to comment on that idea of meaning that you were talking about.
In what sense?
So, my boss is a huge fan of Wittgenstein, and he really feels like that what we need to do is establish kind of a, well, his idea is to bridge boundary between East and West by like having Muslims and Americans, Muslims in the Middle East and Americans in the West, kind of come to an understanding of each other's cultures by getting deeper into the shared meaning of words and language. So he wants to bridge. He doesn't want to reinforce existing social networks like Facebook does, but he wants to build new social networks.
I would argue that he's already running into trouble because he's working in just to even start to bridge the gap between East and West, just like that, there are more directions, right? Like just like begin there. I mean, what Wittgenstein shows us, Wittgenstein is teaching us I don't even think if Wittgenstein was reading Wittgenstein, he would have said, what I'm teaching you is to understand the meaning of the in your sentence. I think what he's showing you is every single little thing. Back when you think you've deconstructed far enough, deconstruct further. When you think you've read hard enough, read harder. And just go until you're tired. And I think in that way, just not to say, just I would say to that person, if I was listening to him say that to me, I would say, tell me your story again without breaking it into two sets of things.
Well, the funny thing is that when I work, I draw on peers from all over the world, and the language we use is not English and it's not Arabic. It's just the language of expression of work in as computer programs. We already have a common lingua franca for all of us, which is the language of expression of work.
Right.
We express work and share work.
Right.
And the work itself is going to be teleported and transported over the net.
Right.
So it's funny how we're trying to build tools to reach to English or other languages, when in fact this kind of new language is not expressing things you can really argue about in the same way. It doesn't have the same kind of, you can't argue politics in quite the same way.
It's like a manifestation of the concept of show, don't tell.
It's very different, and it's quite interesting because I know people all over the world. I know people in the Middle East.
There's the me and then there's the removable one, which was something else.
And you know this intimate part of them, that knowing and knowing. Yeah, knowing and knowing. It was interestingly enough, I lived in Haiti for a year. One thing that informed my experience to an incredible degree was one of my best friends there was this woman named Meedan, whom I did not share language with. And what we shared was this,
Be well, guys. I gotta get out of here. You look like you are being so much more productive than
I had
I
the same experience.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Awesome.
Teacher's class the first
Have an
day.
awesome
She walked
day.
us through
Thanks
with
for
the
doing that.
We thank you
Talk through all
for
this.
Yeah.
finding me a backspace.
I know. I am glad you had a great
So
time.
glad that I
You know
came
what?
here and
She
had
had said
fun. It was
Yeah,
mind opening.
excellent.
Great.
Hopefully,
This is what should happen to more people more often.
Yeah,
Required
totally. Next week, you said you guys do some
curriculum.
Tuesdays.
And
Yeah.
she was so good.
Yeah, it's either.
She
So
was
we'll
Send me
let you know, just go to Maker Lab and get on the list or
Yeah,
something.
well,
Oh,
I
there's
think
a man
that's
list? I saw the
one thing that I
website,
think
but it's
that's a
Yeah,
parallel that's
just-
a little
yeah.
funky, and I'll have to do more reading before I can say with authority to someone else. But I think in the same way, were you a science fiction reader? Okay, yeah, for sure. And I mean, how often have you sat back when less educated and said to yourself, man, those science fiction writers sure know what's up.
Oh.
All their shit comes to fruition, huh? And it's that idea, we could not conceive of a concept of telepathy if something like that wasn't possible. And actually, a lot of this stuff in emergent sciences, shows us ways that it would manifest. We for so long thought that these birds were migrating in patterns of telepathic patterns. It's hormonal.
Right.
There's a lot of different ways. It's understanding the nuanced shape of communication, and don't limit communication with
I
words.
used to also work with chimpanzees, right? I would help at this chimpanzee rescue facility, and one of the reasons I took songwriting, and it was just I kept working at it because I wanted to be able to communicate with these creatures. And it was really funny because they were damaged, like they had been rescued from Lisa and other places. And
they were weird monkeys.
No.
Yeah.
They were incredibly strong, dangerous people.
Oh, fuck. They were kind of like maybe sociopathic in certain
Incredibly
ways.
strong, dangerous, fucked up people.
Right.
And it was surreal after a while that you just did not see them as monkeys. You really saw them as people.
Right.
Just because they had been so damaged by the way they were being abused.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Basically saw them. They were dangerous, but
Right.
they could sign and they were quite expressive, quite interesting.
Yeah.
Like I've had a few of those experiences, like also traveling through Japan, where I couldn't even speak, I couldn't even understand the glyphs.
Right.
Completely cut off from that fast channel communication. Amazing. Almost traveling through Mexico, the same thing.
I think that one part of that is like in the same sense that communication in general is a cooperative act. It's performative. It's a dance. Like anytime, and that's like all that those tools are allowing us to do, just faster. But like it's a dance. It's like you and I. One of the reasons why we're having a conversation is not because we're speaking a similar language, which I say is true. Also, we have incredible eye contact. We're deftly moving through body language, and like all of those things are incredibly true. And I think that sometimes when you separate yourself from that like thought where you're saying, I'm ready for a difference. I see this person, I'm ready to differentiate. They're Japanese, I'm American, they're this, and when you're put in a situation, it's humbling where you're forced to let go of that, where you have to say like, now actually I'm inundated by change.
One of the most powerful, really.
Well, no, but I mean like in that way, you're in that flood.
One of the tools that, sign language was such a powerful tool because it touched so many other areas. It was a permission to use my face, to use expression, to use all the small gestures, dilation of the pupil, eye aperture, all the subtleties of facial expression that I thought that I had really not been trained, not understood, were part of the grammar of discourse. And and I was able, after I did that, I was able to travel to other countries and wander around it and really communicate. Even though I couldn't speak a goddamn word. It was amazing. I had to go to this small town called Sukunusko, way up in the mountains in Chiapas. And it was like a bus and like a little, like one of those little collectivos and like walking and talking to people and like a tiny little town, like 8 houses. And I was able to get there through like this most incredible chain of just facial expressions and knowing like the most minimal amount of language, and really it was a discourse around just somehow expressing my needs.
And also it's like things like need and creating a safe space, like these basic things we talk about in social interaction, like creating a safe space, language indifferent. I can create a safe space with a 1-year-old as well as I can create it with a 45-year-old, and I'm a genius at it. And it has to do with like how you hold your body, but the fact that's mind blowing is that you're discovering ways to do it in this space that requires no visual aids. And you're saying like, what is the communication, like what is the still point, like of all these things, what is the contiguous thread? And you're saying like expression of work. I would say of work is irrelevant expression. And that like every time there is a true and valid and unmitigated expression, the other human being, without you trying to assert control and like govern their understanding of your expression, they will find what is true. And I think that that's the part that like actually speaks to telepathy. Like, will someone see you if you speak clearly, if in your work or with your hand motions? Will they know that you need something by showing them?
Well, often people don't even know. I mean, you have to just elliptically graze the idea over and over and over until you express enough of the space that someone can find that kind of Lorentz attractor in your head that is making you try to say these things over and over and over.
Right? Yeah. Yay. I gotta go. My boyfriend left. Or whatever he is. What do you take? Are you gonna vlog it?
What? No, we're recording it.
It's important. I know it's kind of funny because people who are involved with IT in any way understood the importance of documentation in a way.
Everything is reerased and values created and destroyed so quickly that you have to document or else all is gone.
Or not.
It's so funny because it's like this one